This video is going to be one of two regarding what I have for my SPI game collection. I have a lot less SPI games than I had Avalon Hill games, but one of the reasons is I'm not going to include my strategy and tactics games and magazine games that were produced by SPI. I'm only going to go with like the boxed games and the flat packs. So I think I can do this in two videos, hopefully. The first one I'm going to look at is I have this very beat up flat pack of a Mighty Fortress. I believe this is a boxed game as well, and I'm sure Decision Games also reprinted it, or Excalibur, one of their affiliates there. Anyway, A Mighty Fortress is a game about the Reformation. And frankly, I think if I'm going to play a Reformation game at this point, even though I'm a solo player, I might solo out, Here I Stand. I think that's probably the route I would go. But, I do have this. I have played it. And, I'm keeping it in my collection. There's no reason to let it go. But it's called A Mighty Fortress. I have another flat pack game here, Sinai. And this is Arab-Israeli Wars 56, 67, and 73. So you basically have three different scenarios there. I remember playing out the 1956 scenario. It's a very basic, old school hex encounter game. And I remember a lot of the uses in this game of the air units is to put it on top of an enemy unit, and then that unit, I think, can't move that turn. It's representing interdiction. So, but you only have what's available. So it's a pretty good game. Uses the typical hexes, movement, Zocs, things like that. Sinai. This game is called Search and Destroy. I believe I also have an S&T Grunt, which is a similar game. This is tactical combat in Vietnam, 1965 and 1966. So this is a very tactical level. I enjoyed this game. It really gives you the feel of going through and exploring to ferret out the Viet Cong, basically, is what you're trying to do. But it does present some of the heavier aspects, of Vietnam, especially at this level. So, it's not overwhelming, but if you think about it, you realize what that represents. So I'll leave that at that. That's Search and Destroy. Actually, it's a very serviceable game. I might do some coverage sometimes. This is a flat pack. I also have War of the Ring. This copy, when I got it, didn't have the cards, so I had to make my own cards. Basically, I printed it off, something I found on Board Game Geek that reproduced the cards, printed them, cut it out, pasted them onto old business cards. So that's how I used them initially, and I know that I wrote a replay article on War of the Ring. It was solo, and I kind of storied it out. It's out there in the web somewhere because I gave people permission to reproduce it. So it's on a couple of people's websites. It used to be in my blog, and I know I've reproduced that replay in a video on this channel. So if you look around, you can find the video on it. I also have a boxed copy of the same game. This one actually has the Avalon Hill type, the SPI map boards. If I remember correctly, it feels like it. Yeah, it does. So this is heavy, but you see, they're serviceable. But this game's been around for a while. This is 1977. Same game as that flat pack. And then I have a third one, Middle Earth. So this is the same game as this one. I think the maps are all paper in this one. But it has Gondor, a tactical battle, Gondor and Sauron, that also were sold as little, packet games, whatever you want to call them, mini games of some sort. So they're included in this one. So this copy sometimes is sought after to get these two, because these two smaller games, even though they're not great, I don't think, they sometimes sell fairly high on the secondhand market. So that's the Games of Middle-earth, the Ring trilogy. So yeah, basically I have 3 versions of that game. I may have another one. I couldn't find it if I do. And then the last one I'm going to look at in this video is this game, Swords and Sorcery. This is called Quest and Conquest in the Age of Magic by Greg Kostikian. So my copy has definitely seen some use, but it has, the paper maps of this fantasy world, and my cards are all sleeved for protection because they're very flimsy, cheap cards, but I don't have the right size sleeves for them, but it's serviceable. So that's Swords and Sorcery, Quest and Conquest. So that's the first section of my SPI games. I have a few more that I'll be considering in the next video, so stay tuned if you'd like to see that. I hope you have a great day.